Hi, this is Donna from Clever Crafting. Thank you for joining me here today. So we are making this cute little flip card today, and it goes flip. It's really cute. So this was a design actually originally I saw it with Susan Campfield, and my friend Mel and adjusted it to make it for metric sizes. So we're going to start with an A6 top fold card base. We're going to have an 8.5 centimetre by a 12.8 centimetre and we call this a rectangle number 5. So this is a set of rectangles that we've got that are actually metric. So they're designed for A4 sizes. Now you can see that we actually measure from the outside in, and that's rectangle number 5. The next piece we've got is a 9.5 centimetre by 13.8 centimetre piece of cardstock, and that's actually metric rectangle 3. And then we've got this long piece, which is 29.7, which is the full length of an A4 by 4.5. Now this piece we are actually going to score on the long edge at 7.5 centimetres and 9 centimetres. So make sure you score it, not cut it. I did that twice before I got the scoring right. All right, so we're going to fold these over, those two, as mountain folds, those two score lines. Now, because this is going to form part of our mechanism, I want to make sure that those folds are very flexible. So I fold them the original time, then I fold them back the other way, then I fold them back the original way again. So this actually makes those folds flexible, and it'll make our mechanism work that much better. All right, so in addition to that, we are just going to add across that folded section, so that section in the middle, which should be 1.5 centimetres, 2 strips of double-sided tape. Now this is 6mm or 1/4 inch double-sided tape, and you should be able to fit 2 within that section without going over the actual folds. All right, so now I've got the 8.5 centimetre by 12.8 centimetre piece, and I stamped it with my gum leaf stamp. I did that with black VersaFine ink and put clear embossing powder over it so I could use any colouring medium. I'm actually using Distress Oxide peeled paint and a water brush, and I've just put the ink on my silicone mat there, just as I'm doing here with the espresso one, and I used my water brush to pick up some of the ink and then brush it onto my image. And it gives it's really simple. You just paint it on and it just gives you lovely dimension. All right, I don't think you need to watch me do all of that. So I have painted, you can see there, the leaves and the gum nuts. Now I'm just going to be using some lumberjack plaid, and I'm just going to do those they're little actually flower buds on there on the gum tree, and I just dotted that red in there. Okay, so with our set, it does come with masks. So this was actually designed by my daughter, this set, and it comes with, as I said, masks. These are PVC masks, so you can use them over and over and over and over again. What I have done is you can see that they're sticky on the back because I have sprayed them with some repositionable spray glue. Then when I finish with them, I stick them back on the acetate that my stamps are attached to. All right, so I'm using these to cover what I've actually coloured in, and I'm going to use some Distress Oxide Stormy Sky, and I'm going to do the background. So this really makes the front, the leaves in this case, which are the front, pop right out of the page. They actually turn out really well. I was quite impressed. So I am just quickly putting some shading on the back. Now, because this is a Stormy Sky, it does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be even. You could even do a bright blue sky. It doesn't matter because the little white patches kind of look like wispy clouds. So you can see that I'm giving that a pretty good coverage there. And it's not even, but it's okay. I'm just going to put a little bit more in that corner because that was really white. All right, and I was just very careful. I was just showing you there, very careful to make sure I don't get anything on the back. So when I take off my masks, I put them back on the outside acetate of my stamps, and you can see how wonderful that looks. It really is amazing. The big reveal is the best part, actually, when you take off your masks. As I said, I'm storing them on that acetate, and they're there so I can find them next time. Look at that, that's great. Now I just want to add a little bit extra dimension, so I'm using some black soot, Distress Oxide black soot. This is actually something that I picked up from the Lavinia Arts videos that I watch, because they often put a little bit of black around the outside, and honestly it really just adds a nice little frame. I don't do anything special here. I'm not doing a lot. I'm just adding a little bit around the outside edge. And for some reason, it just seems to add depth to it. So I'm really happy with the result and how this looks. Of course, you can spray water on it or do any of those things that you want, but I'm leaving it at that. All right, now we're going to go over to our 9.5, 13.8 metric rectangle, the metric rectangle number 3, that piece. And I am measuring 4.5 centimeters from the top. So that's the short edge. And then I'm going to measure in 2.5 centimeters from each side, in line with that 4.5 centimeters from the top. This will actually give me a nice little space there that I can cut. I'm actually going to cut that between those 2.5 centimeter marks. This is actually a 4.5 centimeter slit, and that's to put our mechanism through. So you might want to cut it just slightly bigger than where you've put your marks on your card. So I am going to cut that just a tiny bit. Oh, nearly cut my finger off there. But I'm going to cut that just a little bit bigger there, make sure that I'm cut all the way through. I am going to erase those pencil marks because I don't want them to be seen. So, I mean, I could have probably done that, flipped it over, but, you know, I didn't think of that at the time. I'm just marking the top now of my image. That's on the smaller piece of cardstock, 8.5 by 12.8. And I am now grabbing a hold of my mechanism to attach accordingly. So I've removed the backing of my double-sided tape, and you can see that I've got the short side and the sticky right at the top of that, and I've attached that right to that top edge, but in the center of the top edge of my 8.5 by 12.8 piece, the one that I've got my gum leaves on. All right, so the long piece, I just want to show you how that's attached there. The long piece is actually going to feed through that slit that we cut on the larger piece of cardstock, on the 9.5 piece of cardstock. All right, I'm centering that. You can see that that's nicely centered, and I'm flipping it up. Now the short piece, I had to put my hand so you can see, I'm going to put glue just on that edge, that top edge of that short piece. So I'm only going about 1 centimeter, maybe 1.5 centimeters down from that top edge. And on my finger, that's an essential part. And I'm just going to hold that in place and close it. I'm just going to give that a little bit of a tweak and then press it down, and you will see, I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick that up and show you, yep, how that is attached to the 9.5 by 13.8 centimeter piece, and then the long piece is fed through the back. Okay, so that's our mechanism done. All right, now this is my card base. I've added it to a card base, but you could just put it on a stand if that's what you want to do on the back. I'm putting it on a card base because I'm too lazy to make a stand. I am just going to color my edges of my card base in the peeled paint, the same color that I painted my gum leaves. So this just adds a little bit of cohesiveness and a nice edge. So you can see what I'm doing there, straight from my ink pad onto the edge. Don't think you need to watch me do all of that. So that's it completed, mess put aside. Now you didn't see me do this, but I actually made sure that that was dry. I used my heat gun to make sure that that ink on that card base was dry, because otherwise I would have got it everywhere. All right, now I've got my flip up mechanism piece that's going on the front of my card, and I am putting glue around the outer edge. Can you see that? I've got probably a good centimeter around, well, at least on both sides, a space with no glue, and none across the bottom because I don't want anything to get caught up in it. All right, so it's positioned now right in the middle of that card front, and I'm just using my bone folder under the edges there to make sure that that is secured into place. All right, now that piece is too long, so I'm going to trim it. Now I'm actually going to trim it so it's a little bit longer than my card, which is fine because it will still fit in the envelope without any dramas at all. I'm just going to write the word pull, which turns out was really untidy, so I am going to end up putting a sticker or something else over the top of that. But you can just write the word pull for the mechanism so they know what to do. Now this was a last minute thought. What I've got is I've just used my happy birthday greetings and the mixed greeting labels die set to make that little Yahoo let's celebrate, oh woohoo, I beg your pardon, let's celebrate. I've got a piece of cardstock. This is 6.5 centimeters, and I think at the moment it's by about 4 centimeters, and I'm scoring at 1.5, 3, 4.5, and 6. Then I'm going to fold all of these score lines. Now, once again, I'm going to fold them one way, fold them back the other way, and then fold them again. Because it's really important to have these mechanisms inside your card, the folds flexible, so the mechanisms work smoothly. You can see that I've really sped this part up here. I don't actually work that fast, although it would be nice if we all did, wouldn't it? Okay, so now this piece I decided was too wide because I wanted to make sure that you couldn't see it behind my circle. So I think I ended up cutting it. Well, I did. I cut it about 2.5 centimeters wide. All right. Now that I'm putting glue along the little 1/2 centimeter piece that's at the edge once we've done all our scores and made a square. All right. Open up our card. You can see how that pull mechanism works. And this is where I'm going to put my little piece. So I'm putting glue on one of those sides of the rectangle. I'm going to put that flat close to that join or that fold section at the very top. Not right on top of it, but close. Now, the piece that's flat there, I'm going to pop some more glue on there, just a little bit. You don't want it seeping out, and close that. So when we open it, you can see that we've got that little, I guess it's like a stand. Now I'm just going to stick my greeting onto that, and woohoo! Let's celebrate, it worked. Good, I'm happy about that. All right, so here's my completed card with our lovely little flip mechanism. Last minute, again, I decided to do an envelope. So I used my stamp set. You can see that there, a couple of the single leaves that come in the set, as well as the big branch of leaves. In the set, as well as the masks, comes this stencil, and I used it to color. I just used a blending brush and then some finger daubers for the smaller pieces. So that was on the back of my envelope, and they will go together. So I'd like to thank you very much for joining me today and making it this far into the video. It's a little bit longer than normal. If you enjoyed yourself today, if you learned something, it would be great if you subscribed. Of course, all of the subscribers, any new subscribers, help our little channel out here. This particular, all of these products will be available with links in the details below. And if you would love to join a really creative and generous, kind crafting group, I'd love you to pop on over to our Facebook group, and I'll also put the link below. Until next time, stay safe and happy crafting.